from breaking the record for the most wins in a calendar year, winning 2 Constructors Championships and 4 drivers' titles in a row, to sexual abuse allegations.
Red Bull have just launched an investigation after allegations of inappropriate behaviour.
And Horner getting fired.
Officially, as from today, Red Bull have released Christian Horner from his operational duties.
Only to finish one race with both cars in 2026 and no podiums. This is what the fuck happened to Red Bull. But before everything went downhill, we need to go back to 2023 when Red Bull were in their prime. The RB19 was the most dominant car in F1 history.
Verstappen crosses the line!
Max won 19 races, breaking Vettel's record by winning 10 in a row.
Yeah, I think, I never would have believed that was possible, but we had to work for it today, and that made it definitely a lot more fun.
Checo won too. Red Bull had a winning percentage of 95.4%, completely dominating the rest of the grid. Red Bull basically scored more points than Ferrari and Mercedes combined, wrapping up both the drivers' and constructors' titles. And this dominance meant that Red Bull could start developing their 2024 car as soon as Hungary in the middle of the season. It gave them a massive boost heading into the new season. Even Jolyon Palmer called it spectacular when the cars hit Bahrain in 2024.
Now this one, when it was launched last week, looked quite spectacular. The tiny shrunken side pods, the tiny inlets for cooling as well, with a big undercut underneath.
The Austrian manufacturer was hiding a secret so devastating it was about to rip the team to shreds.
You can see this news at the bottom of your screen as well. Red Bull have just launched an investigation after allegations of inappropriate behaviour were made against Christian Horner.
It all began in February 2024 when the cracks in the Red Bull Foundation were exposed. It focused on accusations brought forward by a female employee. For weeks, the motorsport world held its breath as the longest-serving team boss in the paddock faced exile. But after a review process conducted by external legal counsel, it was dismissed. Horner was allowed to retain his operational and executive control over the team, and Red Bull tried to close the book and look forward to the season. But the very next day, the book was blown wide open. During the Bahrain Grand Prix practice sessions, an email containing a Google Drive link was sent to hundreds of journalists, team principals, and FIA executives. Inside the drive was a cache of highly personal WhatsApp messages and photographs between Horner and the complainant. While the trustworthiness of the leak was never confirmed by Red Bull, the damage was already done. The private investigation was now a global spectacle.
Well, we have pretty bare details at the moment, Mike, and we learned of all of this because of an article in the Dutch press, an article in De Telegraaf, which contained a report about these allegations being made of inappropriate behavior by Christian Horner.
Shortly after, the employee who made the accusations was suspended by the team. The public nature of the investigation and leak revealed deeper divisions in the broader corporate ownership structure. You see, Red Bull GmbH is 49% owned by Mark Mateschitz, while 51% is owned by the Uvidia family led by Charlem Uvidia. And while the time majority owners supported Horner, Red Bull's head of sports, Oliver Mintzlaff, was beefing with him. This corporate friction was publicly on display for the whole world to see. Nowhere was this civil war more apparent than the feud between Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner.
Jos, last year you said Horner needs to go because you said Horner needs to go last year because he's going to destroy the team.
A year ago. So it's different. I have nothing to say, so it's fine.
Jos went after Horner every opportunity he got. And even though Red Bull would dominate in the early part of the season, these off-track issues were being felt in the technical department. The biggest blow? Adrian Newey, who announced in May 2024 that he was resigning from the team. And ironically, that's when McLaren started winning.
Lando Norris wins for the first time in Formula One!
Newey's departure wasn't an isolated event. It set the tone for you to subscribe and even more people to follow. Sporting director Jonathan Wheatley announced his resignation in August. And as the senior personnel left, the on-track performances suffered. McLaren began overtaking Red Bull, leading to an insane title fight that went down to the wire in Las Vegas.
The Dutch driver will retain his crown! Max Verstappen is a four-time Formula One world champion!
Max was a four-time champion, but with Checo's decline, McLaren snatched the Constructors' title.
2024, they win the Constructors' title for the first time since 1998.
And 2025 would be the worst start for Red Bull in half a decade.
The British driver
The internal pressure reached a breaking point, and in July 2025, the organization made a move no one expected.
Big breaking news, Red Bull have released Christian Horner from his operational duties with effect from today. and has appointed Laurent Mekies as CEO of Red Bull Racing.
After 20 years, 6 Constructors titles, and 8 Drivers' Championships, Christian Horner was sacked.
Today, I was informed by Red Bull that operationally I will no longer be involved with the business or the team. Watching and being part of this team has been the biggest privilege in my life.
The new man to take over his job, Laurent Mekies.
My name is Laurent Mekies and I'm the CEO and team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing.
And it worked. Max made one of the greatest comebacks ever. By Zandvoort, he was more than 100 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri and came back to lose the title to Norris by just 2 points.
The comeback of all comebacks will fall short. Max Verstappen wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but this will be a victory lap for Lando Norris. And after 24 rounds, Lando Norris is the Formula One World Champion.
Max failed to get his 5th World Championship, and then Red Bull were faced with another bombshell. Senior advisor Helmut Marko, the man responsible for the driver program, which brought some of the best drivers, left at the end of 2025. He publicly stated his disappointment over not winning the championship. So within 24 months, Red Bull lost their lead engineer, their sporting director, team principal, and senior advisor. The complete change in leadership structure was the perfect storm right before the 2026 regulation change, and to throw them even more into the dark, Red Bull was switching to Ford as their new engine supplier for the 2026 season. So heading into the new year, there was cautious optimism. Laurent Mekies actually stated in September 2025 that Red Bull had a mountain to climb in engine development, and doubled down on this after the car launch.
Is that fair enough, or are you more optimistic than that?
You know, I think it would be naive, to say the least, for us to think that, yes, we have done everything from zero, and then we turn up at the first race and we are at the same level than people that have been doing it for 90 years.
The only person truly optimistic was Ford's CEO.
We understand that at Ford. We have our best technical people. We have 180,000 employees. They all know this is a top effort in the company, and we are going to throw everything we have at this effort.
But it was all downhill from here. By now, we all know the 2026 regulations, and a lot of us wish they didn't exist. But if you're still in the dark, check out this video to find out what everyone is bitching about. But these changes hit Red Bull like a truck, and judging by Aston Martin, I don't think Adrian Newey would have made any difference, to be honest. I mean, Laurent Mekies was happy to just get the car out of the garage in the shakedown.
I think you're right. It was a beautiful surprise to see the car getting out of the garage on the first day of the Barcelona test.
No one was more vocal than Max.
It's not pure Formula One. If anything, I could tell you it's probably like Formula E on steroids.
But when the car hit the track in Barcelona, it was actually positive. The RB22 completed 303 laps, proving reliability. Even Max showed signs of positivity.
In general, for us, with the new engine, to do the amount of laps that we did is very nice, and it's a good start for us. So
then came the official testing in Bahrain, and Red Bull got their first wake-up call with a new Ford-powered powertrain designed in the new $90 million factory. The telemetry data during the long-run simulations indicated anomalies in the power unit's energy deployment and thermal management systems. It meant less volume for the sidepod cooling radiators. The internal combustion engine was struggling to maintain thermal efficiency on the new fuel mixture, and it was generating excess heat that the bodywork couldn't get rid of. Even worse was how it handled the 50-50 power distribution. The engineers couldn't optimize the state of charge management, and Red Bull experienced severe clipping on the Bahrain main straight. Yet despite these problems, the RB22 was near the top of the leaderboards. Max even set the fastest lap at one point. I do still think everyone was sandbagging there, but at least the team felt like they were heading in the right direction. So they went to Melbourne for the opening round of the 2026 Formula One season. Since Albert Park has a completely different layout from Bahrain, every team was left in the dark. We saw this when Max attempted his first lap in quali.
Oh, off the road, into the barrier!
He basically said he never experienced anything like that.
I don't know why that happened or how that happened. I've never experienced something like that before in my career.
It was a massive spike in torque that made the car uncontrollable. One Red Bull was eliminated, but on the other side of the garage, some of the preseason performance showed. Isaac put the car in P3. I mean, we all knew the RB22 had good one-lap speed, so the race would be the ultimate test. And suddenly, the optimism vanished. The first incident happened when Max almost stalled on the starting line. Then on lap 11, Hadjar had to retire due to an engine failure.
Problem for Isaac Hadjar, dropping down the order. The man who had his best ever day in Formula 1 qualifying yesterday is out of the Grand Prix on lap 11.
How you feeling about that, Hadjar? But this felt engine is so shit, man. Max actually benefited from the VSC with a solid recovery drive to bring the car home in P6. It proved the car could get through the field, but he was still almost a minute off race winner George Russell, and when asked whether he enjoyed the overtaking, he had this to say.
Do you enjoy it? You got the most
No, not really. No. I mean, yeah, of course the overtakes were fun. But, I mean, I'm also racing cars that are 2 seconds slower, you know?
So after the disappointing Australian Grand Prix, Red Bull brought a new power unit for Hadjar in China. They also made minor changes to the floor nil panel and rear brake duct seal for Verstappen. The idea was to ensure reliability while making the car a little more predictable. But they already admitted to not having the pace of the top 4 cars.
If I would have started, let's say, a little bit up front, I think the best that I could have done was 1 spot higher because we didn't have the pace of the top 4 cars. We also had a lot of degradation and graining.
And when Red Bull failed to make any meaningful changes before Parc Fermé, both cars were lost in sprint quali. Verstappen finished P8 and Hadjar P10, but the sprint completely exposed the Red Bull's weaknesses. First, Max bombed the starting procedure again. He was visibly annoyed heading into the main quali.
Terrible balance, more degradation than the people around me in the midfield. Pretty much a disaster, I would say.
And without significant changes, the Red Bulls only managed P8 and P9. On Sunday, it got even worse. The RB22 once again bogged down at the start. But managed to recover back into the points. Then it turned into a disaster.
Hey Max, let's retire the car, please. Retire the car.
Max Verstappen's tough start to Formula 1 in 2026 continues.
Hadjar wrestled the car into P8, but if it wasn't for the retirement of the 2 McLarens, he would have probably been outside of the points. The frustration basically boiled over. And to cool down from the Shanghai disappointment, Verstappen took the week off to do a bit of GT3 racing. I guess he just wanted to feel what real racing felt like again. But there was still 1 race to go before the 5-week break, and it was the ultimate old school track, Suzuka. So Red Bull brought a host of upgrades, like a new, more aggressively tapered engine cover, a redesigned floor, a modded side pod inlet design, and the result was even more humiliation.
And what a lap from Arvid Lindblad, who's knocked Max Verstappen out of the top 10.
I think something with the car made this completely unrunnable, suddenly it's disqualifying.
Max was knocked out in Q2. Isaac managed P8. At least things went better in the race, with the Dutchman finishing in the points.
And Hamilton finishes 6th. Oh, and Max Verstappen with an almighty save towards the line to keep his car on the tarmac, but behind Gasly, 7th for the Alpine driver, 8th for Verstappen from 11th on the grid.
So after 3 rounds, the reality of the 2026 season is clear. Red Bull is in P6, fighting with Alpine and the Racing Bulls. They only have 16 points, and Mercedes are running away on 135 points. The era of Red Bull dominance is over, and if Red Bull want to keep Verstappen from walking away, they need some drastic changes. And to make matters worse, it seems like Gianpiero Lambiase, Max Verstappen's long-term engineer, is heading to McLaren by 2028. This, combined with Verstappen stating after Japan that he's taken time to consider life decisions, now makes it even more likely that Max is heading for early retirement. But maybe Red Bull can save the season? Maybe with a few solid upgrade packages, the RB22 can once again fight at the front of the pack. And judging by the recent filming day at Silverstone, massive changes are coming for the United States, baby. Miami is already considered the second launch of the season due to new rule updates. Every team is looking to bring massive upgrades, but Red Bull is definitely looking to save their season. And the recent filming day at Silverstone has revealed a little of what we can expect. Red Bull have used all the data collected from the last 3 races and realized they need a structural overhaul. Since they bypassed the traditional shakedown earlier this year, the team have an additional 200 kilometers of testing, which has revealed a couple of interesting changes so far. First, the front wing. The end plates now feature flow conditioning winglets, which are something we've seen on the Ferrari and Mercedes Mercedes. The original aerodynamic specification didn't actually have them at the start of the season. Even more, the nose appears slightly sharper, and they've introduced a distinct footplate to seal the airflow. In the middle of the car, the side pods have been reprofiled. Red Bull basically want to force more clean air over the diffuser to increase the rear stability that the drivers were complaining about in Japan and China. But the biggest change is the rear. Red Bull were testing an entirely new rear front wing configuration with a repositioned pivot system. It's basically their interpretation of Ferrari's Macarena wing. The speculation is that Red Bull have copied the Scuderia, but Red Bull state they'd submitted these designs to the FIA months ago. This might just help them cure the terminal velocity deficit from the opening rounds. It's basically like a B-spec design that overhauls a large part of the car. And with the high tyre deg problem, Red Bull are hoping this new front wing design could mitigate it. But Red Bull might have minor things to sort out to get back to the front. Aston Martin invested almost £300 million, and they are the worst team on the grid. To find out what the fuck happened to Aston, check out this video next. And as always, thanks for watching.